Okay, I know I usually start these off with a shocking opening clip of the film, but I'm about 2 minutes in and this is all I've got so far. This is gonna be a tough one, but this is 2020's Getaway. To give you a better idea of what's in store, imagine the gritty remake of I Spit on Your Grave, but with a twist. Spoiler alert, I might be giving you my opinion on the film, but for those of you that want to watch it on your own time, links to the film will be in the description. Okay, as we look at the ground from the viewpoint of the victim, we see that the man that walks up cut some of her hair off before dragging her body through the forest. Eventually, he tosses her body into a pre-dug grave, and that's when Tamara wakes up in her bed. Eventually, we see someone refilling the grave while another man goes to tend to the truck. Tamara goes to take a bath next, and while she lies in the tub, her mind seems to wander. When she gets out, her radio is already on when she comes into her room, and she can hear the reporter talking about another disappearance in the area. Apparently, there has been a string of strange disappearances of local women, and no one has a suspect yet.
Morning.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
I'm not one usually to be negative about films, but we're 5 minutes into the movie. There hasn't been a single character interaction, much dialogue other than the radio, and the most startling thing in this town is Jerry, going around town making women drop toast out of their mouths. I'm not even sure that was toast. It looked more like a plain slice of bread. I'm not saying it has to be crispy, but if you're gonna toast it, then it better be a little different at least. It turns out that Jerry just showed up to bring her a cup of coffee for some reason. He even goes on to ask Tamara about going on a second date, but she cautiously turns him down. When he tries to find out what the hurry is, she tells him that she's going on a girls' trip to the lake with some girlfriends. As Jerry is left standing on that front porch, he looks around and tells himself that he's in love. As Tamara drives to the lake, she gets a call from Maddie and Brooke, and they wonder where she is. When she tells her that she's still a ways away, she tries to make sure that they don't start drinking without her. Some best friends they are. They're literally calling with full cups in their hands already. I guess it's more Tamara's fault for not giving them a heads up. Speaking of Tamara's fault, she runs out of gas. I'm a paranoid driver and I'm constantly checking gauges in the car. I could just fill up, drive 10 miles, then I'd still be looking to make sure I don't need gas. Tamara completely runs out of gas and has to pull over on the side of the road. Once the car turns itself off, the truck from the gravesite pulls up behind her, and a man named Merv gets out to check on her. He leaves the other man, Kib, in the truck, and he brings a canister of gas to Tamara's car. As he fills her up as best as she can, Tamara tries to pretend to call her friends, and she pretends to give them a heads up. That's another dangerous move, assuming Merv and Kib are from the area so they know where there's self-service and where there isn't any. If he wasn't going to kidnap her, I'd say he's thinking about it now. After Merv fills her up with gas, she takes off for the lake, and Merv and Kib stand there just watching her drive away. Eventually, she gets to the lake and meets up with Brooke and Maddie. Once there, Maddie admits that she's in love with Brooke and they do more shots. At one point, Brooke goes to the boys next door and takes them up on their offer of shots, and she tells them that they'll be going into town to drink at the bar that night. When they rush back inside to get ready, we see that someone is watching them from the bushes. While the girls are getting ready to go into town, Tamara hears a strange noise coming from outside. I might have said some not so positive things earlier, but seeing Brooke standing guard in her towel with a blow dryer of all things is priceless. It's not even plugged in. Have you ever tried to wield a blow dryer? It's such a beastly wobbly thing to swing. You're more likely to hit yourself rather than anyone else. As the girls tread carefully around the house, they get a weird surprise when they see Jerry at their door. It turns out that he brought Tamara flowers, and he was worried when she didn't answer his calls. She explains that she doesn't have any service, and she assures him that she'll call when the weekend is over. Once back inside, Brooke and Maddie start hazing Tamara about dating the officer, but they eventually head out the door to go into town. As the car pulls out of the driveway, whoever is following them starts up their car as well. Once inside, the girls get some shots of tequila, and Maddie goes to wait in line for the bathroom while Tamara and Brooke dance together on the dance floor. Soon, Tamara goes to check on Maddie, but once in the bathroom, the girl standing at the mirror asks them if they want a bump. Maddie does, but she makes sure that Tamara won't tell Brooke first.
You guys have to kiss first. What? No, she's dating my best friend.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that Maddie probably doesn't make it on this one. She's so quick to just throw it on the line for a bump of coke. It's probably either the worst or absolute best coke she's ever had though. When they come back out and sit at the bar, the bartender prepares 3 shots for the girls, and the man that has apparently ordered them slips some white powder into the drink. When the ladies ask who bought them for them, the bartender tries to show them who it is, but they are gone. After a fun evening of drinking and dancing, Tamara starts to feel the effects effects of the drug. Tamara slips out to the parking lot, but before she makes it too far, two men show up and grab her. When she starts to come to, she's in the back of a pickup truck and covered by a tarp. She pulls the tarp off and sits up to observe where she is. When she realizes that she's been taken to the middle of the woods, she hops out and gets under the truck. Soon the men come back with another and they realize that she's escaped. Knowing she couldn't have gone far, they search for her.
Hey, darling.
Well, that's a little unsettling. You can't just drug and kidnap someone, then try to come across all sweet. Then your buddy is just gonna casually pull her out from under a truck. What in the world made her think that hiding under the truck was the best option of escape here? She fights the men off of her and makes a run over the fence. She tries to use her phone in the field just before one of the men pops up and knocks her out. When she comes to, they have her tied up in a barn. When she finally sees the men, she sees that two of them are Merv and Kip from earlier. They tear her clothes off and Pa explains that the Lord has a plan for her. As they explain that their family has an obligation to deal with pretty little things like her, she tries to tell them that her family does too. The men begin to joke around that she's a witch, but when she starts convulsing, they begin to think that it's true. When she simply throws up on them, they laugh and decide to deal with her later. When Kib tries to ask if the witch talk might have been real, they try to explain that she's just messed up from the drugs they gave her. Back in the barn, Tamara tries to call Jerry using her feet, but her phone dies in the process. Meanwhile, Merv gets excited at the thought of having Tamara, but a woman in white walks by him in the field that he doesn't notice. I'd say that some of that witch talk might be a little true now. He even gets the scare of his life in a minute when he gets in his truck to leave. The woman in white shows up in front of him, and his first immediate response is to run her over. So just on the off chance that the witch talk is true, let's just make them all mad by attempting murder. Perfect plan, Merv. Later that night, the men gather for dinner and Pa says grace. After dinner, Merv and Kib watch a televangelist while Pa goes to his room of prayer. While he's in there, he opens a chest that has hair from all the previous victims, and he rubs himself with them until he hears footsteps outside his door. He comes out to threaten the boys for disturbing his time, but it turns out that they didn't move. When he goes back to his room of prayer, someone has been in there, and Kib swears that it's the curse. Pa and Merv go to check on Tamara, but she's secure where they left her. They hear other sounds come from one of the other stalls, but after checking on it, they rush to the house. If I think that someone is screwing with us, witch or not, I'm gonna post a guard on her at all times. There are 3 of them, and she's been left completely alone this whole time. Weird things happen, and they don't think to keep an eye on the one person they know is there. Back in town, Jerry sits down to eat his dinner, but he notices his phone has a short voicemail. It isn't much to go off of, but it's enough for him to get concerned. After Tamara's phone goes straight to voicemail, he grabs his jacket and heads out. Later, Kib sneaks out to talk to Tamara, and he tells her why they do what they do. All in the name of the Lord.
We have to give them our seed so they can go to heaven, so they can make angel babies in heaven.
That is the most brainwashed, cult-sounding load of crap I've ever heard. How are the angel babies supposed to get back down here? You know that he was literally raised that way too. That's why he's in complete awe that there's something else to believe in, something scarier than what he believes. Tamara tries to make him understand that the Lord doesn't really want him to do that. She tries to make him understand that none of it is true, and he questions whether she's actually a witch now. When she tells him that she's not, he has a sigh of relief as he now believes that she'll go to heaven when they're done with her. Meanwhile, in the house, Merv is sleeping soundly when the mysterious woman in white visits him in bed. As he enjoys the pleasure that he thinks is just a dream, he wakes up when the woman screams in his face and scratches him. When he goes to check on Pa, Pa is in his prayer room, but it has been tampered with. The posters of all the missing girls are on the wall, someone has written a message, and the cross has been spun upside down. Pa turns around to show he has a scratch on his face too, and he tells the boys that Tamara is the devil. The next morning, the 3 men march out to the barn and they prepare her for her baptism. They dunk her in the water until she accepts God into her heart. Then when they take her back in the barn, they find totems hanging up in her cell. I don't care if she says she's a witch or not. That's enough proof that someone or something does not want her dead, and I'm gonna listen. You do not mess with the universe like that. When Pa tells Kib to go finish the hole for her, he tells her that he doesn't want to since she isn't gonna be an angel. But Pa is unrelentless. Back in town, Jerry arrives at the bar to ask around about Tamara. The bartender mentions that he remembers her, but he can't really tell him much about the men that bought her drinks. Back on the farm, Tamara gets herself unhooked and she grabs a nearby pitchfork. When Kip finds out that she's gotten herself loose, she backs him up while she convinces him that he's been working for the devil the whole time. In a last attempt to prove that he loves the Lord, he takes a pitchfork from Tamara and sacrifices himself to be in heaven. That is sad. Kip is the one person that I thought might have been able to turn around after all of this. I guess technically he still did, but not in the way most would have wanted. He would have been perfect for rehabilitation. Merv and Pa, on the other hand, they're just egotistical psychopaths. Speaking of Merv, he comes out soon and notices Tamara crawling out of the grave Kip dug, and he takes off after her. As they run into the woods, Pa is back at home and he hears the cries of a woman after he finds Kip's body. That was so abrupt that I couldn't help but laugh. Props to Maddie for that scream too. Maddie and Brooke reveal themselves as the ladies in white and they drag Pa's body away. Meanwhile, Tamara lets Merv chase her through a boulder that she jumps off of like a spider monkey and she tries to stab him with Kip's pocket knife. As it begins to look like Merv might have the upper hand, she knocks him in the head with a nearby rock. The three girls gather Pa and Merv's bodies outside the house, and that night they perform a ritual that involves the men. They splash the men with water to wake them up and tell them that they fell into their trap. They admit that they've been watching them and they plan to do to them what they've done to all the other girls. They tell them that they're going to play a game called 16 Angels, and that's the number of women that they have raped and murdered over the years there. As they give the men 16 seconds to get free, Pa tries to run free, but they put him down. Jerry hears the shots as he makes his way in that direction and he calls for backup. Merv tries to get himself free, but he's just not fast enough. This feels like a lot of risk. This could be one of those times that something could go horribly wrong. He could get free and their guns could jam. Anything. They had a perfectly good bonfire there, and that's what I originally thought they were gonna use on them. Soon, Jerry shows up and the girls play the victim perfectly for him. As he takes them away to safety, the screen fades to black, and when it comes back, we see that we're back in town. Tamara goes to check her email and she sees that Brooke sent her a picture of another missing girl. Tamara mentions that it's time for another girls' trip, and the credits roll. I have to admit, the ideology of the guys in this one is one that I haven't heard before. When I heard Kip talk about how they plant seeds in the women and send them to heaven to have angel babies, I had to rewind it to make sure I heard him right. They made just enough of the story different and unique that it made it its own movie instead of another copy and paste. I definitely say it's worth a shot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.